Carolina on the ride. Carolina on the ride.
What's going on, Panther Nation? Bill Mack here with another edition of the Panther Prowl. And what a great day it is today to be a Panther fan. Yes, I am here with the Week 11 review as our beloved Panthers hosted the Detroit Lions. Panthers, of course, coming in on a 5-game losing streak off of a fresh whipping, as I would say, from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week. Of course, Detroit coming off of a last-minute win against the Washington football team. Panthers, of course, 3-7. Detroit coming in at 4-5. It was a great game, especially for our defense, and we needed this game to bounce back from the loss last week as our team got railroaded by Tom Brady and the Bucs last week. So having Matthew Stafford come in, we had a few people banged up. We had quite a few of them that didn't play, as well as on the Detroit side as well. We had Carolina, of course, is 6-3 all time against Detroit, and in our last matchup was back in 2019. We ended up having a loss on the road. That was 2018, excuse me. In Detroit, we had failed a 2-point conversion, which we ended up losing the game, 20-19. We had quite a few people out. Of course, Christian McCaffrey still out. Russell Okung still out. Bridgewater was a game time decision not to start. I think within like 2 or 3 hours before game time that he wasn't going to be able to start. He tried to go about 45 minutes, and they just realized he wasn't ready. He didn't go. Dante Jackson still out with his toe, and Sam Franklin was one that was out in the middle of the week. We did have a injury in game. Dennis Staley, of course, ended up being sent out for a concussion, which was who he was filling in for was Russell Okung. So both left tackles are out. P.J. Walker, since Teddy Bridgewater was not able to start, P.J. Walker from the XFL got the start today in place of Teddy Bridgewater, and he had a pretty decent, I would say, debut for his first ever start in the NFL. Matt Rule was very high on him. He knew him. He played with him. He coached him before, so he knows something about P.J. Walker, especially fitting in his defense. In case you didn't know, which I know you did, the Panthers, of course, as you see here. Oh, what? Okay, wait, there. Yeah, there we go. Got to get this right. I never get this. It's always the opposite. By that, it's a 0. And so that means that the Panthers got their first ever shutout since 2015. It was a great game. And like I said at the beginning of the video, it was great that our defense needed this. They were our MVP of today. Like I said, P.J. Walker he maintained himself pretty good, flow of the game. He did make a couple of timely mistakes that could have probably led to more points, but the defense was there. Now, I'm going to give you, there's not going to be much with the game coverage, as when I say Panther Nation, there was a lot of punting. There was a lot of punting. More punting than I would have loved, but they had more punts than we did. We scored a little bit. So I'm going to give you drive by drive what happened with the Panthers' possessions and Detroit, as I usually do. Of course, the Panthers and the Detroit traded punts on their first drive. The Panthers, however, ensued on their second drive. P.J. Walker had 84 yards, passing yards. D.J. Moore was the big recipient of most of that yardage on that drive, and their second drive, having 2 catches, 66 yards, and Mike Davis ended up with a 1-yard TD run. Great drive for them, which I thought was going to be the start of a great, scoring for the Panthers. So then on Detroit, their incoming drive, Detroit ends up fumbling the ball. as Matthew Stafford. There's a fumble between the exchange from the center to Stafford, and Marquise Haynes ends up making a recovery. So Panthers get the ball back, their third drive. They drive downfield. This is where Walker was being very efficient. He was getting the ball, but unfortunately, he ends up throwing an interception in the end zone, which basically killed any thoughts of putting up at least another back-to-back score, which is what you want to do. Panthers have always been known this season of being the team that, as I stated in my preview video, they're they're pretty much top 10 in points scored in the first half. It's the second half, or first quarter and their third quarters, or their two worst ones. But then they do pretty well in in the second quarter. So throws a interception in the end zone, and then from there on out for the rest of the game or the rest of the drives, the third through the seventh, there's nothing but punts. That's all it was, just a bunch of punts. The defenses both were looked stout. The offenses couldn't get anything going. Pretty much all cut and dry for the halftime. So give you a little bit of halftime stats here, of course. Walker was 14 of 22. He had 157 yards and a one long interception. Mike Davis, of course, he didn't have, and the running game wasn't on much for us today, which I was hoping they would have gotten done because both of these teams were bad on third down conversions, and that was made known throughout the broadcast. But Davis had 8 carries for 27 yards, and of course that touchdown on their second drive. Moore had 3 catches so far for 74 yards. So it looks statistically coming to that point that DJ could have a good day, and he needed to bounce back. Teddy's kind of gone more way of Robbie than DJ. And that's, I guess, different quarterbacks have different preferences in their receivers. Which last year, when Kyle Allen was there, DJ was pretty much your main guy. And that's who they had. And that's who got over 1,000 yards. So, to me, in my opinion, I felt like they were getting away from that, So, needless to say, Matthew Stafford on the other side, 5 of 11, 54 yards. Adrian Peterson had 7 carries, 18 yards. And Marvin Jones Jr. had 1 catch for 21 yards. So, basically, the Panthers' defense held Detroit with under 100 yards total offense in the first half, which is awesome. That was a great look for our defense to do that, which is usually our defense plays really good in first half anyway. Second half would be so some keys to the first half. Punts, Panthers had 5 punts on offense. Couldn't get on third down conversions. That was their problem. And making mistakes timely like that was a problem. Not like I said, there were 3 of 8 in the converting on third downs in the first half. Defense was doing great. They hadn't allowed Detroit any offense. They caused more punts in the first half than you had all season combined. And my advice at that time was keep doing what you're doing. You got 5 forced punts. You got a fumble recovery, and like I said, the defense kept Detroit off from under 100 yards. So we start the second half off. Now this was more lively. Detroit got the ball at first possession of the second half. They put in the ball. Panthers' first drive, Curtis Samuel gets a 17-yard TD reception. P.J. Walker was 3 of 4, 55 yards, and they had 11 rushing yards that put Carolina up 14-0. So then on Detroit's second drive, they had a punt. Obata and Burns both combined on a sack. And this was very important to understand that they got this punt because there was one time that there was a 51-yard pass that Stafford had. That was a touchdown in the end zone for Detroit, but the penalty nullified that because it was a legal formation. So that was a sweat off of from a score from happening. So nothing would come of it. They ended up having a punt. Second drive Carolina had, Joey Sly hit a 56-yarder. P.J. Walker was 6'4" for 42 yards, putting Carolina up 17-0. On the third drive, Detroit had a chance to get a field goal. Matt Prater was out there, missed a 51-yard field goal attempt. Carolina gets their third drive. This is another where an untimely mistake by P.J. Walker. Driving downfield, Desmond Trufant ended up catching one in the end zone and intercepting the pass from P.J. Walker. And that looked more like just a bad throw. It was a bad throw on his part to do that. The first one, the interception, was basically he wasn't looking and he threw it. But, it happened. He's, like I said, his first NFL start. So Detroit gets their fourth drive, and Zach Kerr and Yetur Gross-Matos ended up combining together on a sack. Brian Burns ended up having a sack, and Detroit had to turn over on downs because they went for it and they were already behind at the time 17-0. So then we go to Carolina's fourth drive, which ends up with another field goal. Joey Sly kicks one, a 37-yarder. And this was where another timely play happened for Carolina. They ended up running to the kicker because Joey attempted the first kick and it missed. But fortunately, running to the kicker penalty moved him up 5 yards. Joey got a second kick at it and attempted at the kick, and he made it. So 37-yarder. And finally, on Detroit's fifth drive, Matthew Stafford was 5 of 6 for 35 yards, but F.A. Abada got a sack, and then Carolina basically ran the ball out. All the stats, all the things for the games. So Carolina ended up shutting out 20-0. P.J. Walker was 24 of 34, 258 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions, and he got sacked once. Mike Davis finished out with 19 carries, 64 yards, 1 rushing TD, and DJ Moore with the big day, 7 catches, 127 yards. So I'm hoping that if Teddy's not able to go, PJ can go for us, and I'm just glad to see DJ Moore back. I love watching DJ Moore. He's my pick on there, even though I know Teddy prefers basically Robbie Anderson. And don't forget Curtis Samuel too. Didn't mention him much in the game other than the touchdown reception first part and the second drive Carolina had, but he ended up with 8 catches for 70 yards. So pretty good day for him as well. Stafford, on the other hand, was 18 of 33, 178 yards. Panther Nation, Panthers defense got 5 sacks. 5 sacks on the day on Matt Stafford. Adrian Peterson and Kerryon Johnson. AP had 7 carries for 18 yards, and Johnson had 6 carries for 17 yards. So they helped basically the offense and the both sides offensive rushing and receiving in check today. And Hawkinson, the tight end who I said they had to watch, had 4 catches for 68 yards. So they did what needed to be done. That was the great thing. They actually held him in check. They held Jones. You didn't hear much out of him, like the 1 catch early in the first half. And Hawkinson, they just couldn't get nothing going. The Panthers provided pressure, provided sacks, and that's what happens when you do that. And of course, on defensive side, Trey Boston led the Panthers with 8 tackles. Brian Burns had 5 tackles, and Zach Kerr had 3 tackles, 1 sack. F.A. Abada had 2 tackles, 1.5 sacks. Yetur Gross-Matos had 1/2 a sack. Jeff Benesi for Detroit, and I think that's his name, had 4 tackles with a sack, and Desmond Trufant and Aruye had each of those guys had the interceptions, which both were in the end zone. And Sly was 2 for 2 field goals. Matt Prater with the 1 lone miss on the 1 lone attempt. So, Panther Nation, I can't say enough. I'm so glad to see our Panthers get a win. They needed this win. I didn't see on the schedule if we play next or we take a bye. I know we're pretty close to getting a bye somewhere. But if there is no bye, definitely, I might put out a video. I'm not sure. But if there is a game next week, which I hate that I didn't look it up before, but if there is, I'll definitely pop a preview video out. So, a great win. I mean, we needed this win. No C-Mac, no Teddy Bridgewater, and like I said, no Russell Okung. I mean, we had some guys out. They did too. Our defense stepped up. They needed to after giving up 46 points last week to Brady and the Bucks. So it was a great bounce-back win for us. And it's definitely a confidence builder that the defense got it done. Our offense gave up a couple timely interceptions in the end zone that could have been scores. None less than 6 points at least. But our defense held in, and they kept the Detroit offense, excuse me for that, in check. So great game for us. I'm so glad. Sorry I'm late for the video. Like I said, I just had a lot going on yesterday. So I hope you, before I close this video, as always, I encourage every one of you, if you can and will, you do like the videos or you have any criticism, always feel free to drop a like on this video, subscribe to my channel, share this video with other Panther fans or football fans, and if you have any questions or comments or whatever, as always put them in the comment box and I'll definitely get back to you. So until next time, Panther Nation, this is Bill Mack with the Panther Prowl said, keep pounding.